Hello and welcome to the Reetin Entertainment Podcast, episode 444 for March 24th, 2024. My name is Nathan Reitensbruth. Joining me this week is Andrew Rowe McFain.
Wow, it's a lot of four numbers. I
That's
can't think of anything funny to do with that.
That was a lot of fours, but we don't know anything about golf, so we can't make any references. Anyway,
Ha, there we go.
yeah,
You got it.
Connor can't be here today, so it's just the two of us, which is probably for the best because we do have a lot of news stories to talk about. But first, where can we find you?
You can go on down to website where you can get all the stuff. I would imagine that Connor would want me to point out the the links for
Bug City Blues.
his Bug City Blues and the other one.
Clinton's Core Classics.
What's the other one? Clinton's Core Classics, both of which are actual play podcasts, I think, as they call them in the tabletop gaming circles.
That's what the kids call them.
The Bug City is the Shadowrun, and the Clinton Classic is
Pathfinder.
D&D?
Pathfinder.
Same thing.
It's the same thing, except for barbarians can read. I think they can read in the newer versions of Dungeons and Dragons, but in Dungeons and Dragons 3,
Pathfinder
they can't
has
read.
a better license.
They do. They have a better license, like open license agreement and stuff for their fans.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and it's actually Pathfinder 1, because apparently there's Pathfinder 2 now.
Is that actually out, or is that still? I remember that was a beta thing like a few years ago. I didn't know if that actually like launched or not.
I think it is out technically, but I've never played it because I don't really play tabletop games except for when Connor ropes me into them. That's how I started playing Pathfinder and Shadowrun. Anyway, you can find me, Nathan Reitensbruth. I'm Reetin everywhere, but mainly you're going to find me on Twitch Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Pacific time to 9 p.m. Pacific time at twitch.tv/Reetin. My brain broke there for a second. And I don't know. This week I should be good to play every day, but we have a lot of stuff going on at my work, and so I might have to skip like Wednesday or something because we're setting up new clinics and stuff, going in there and putting in new hardware and all that jazz. Which, by the way, running Ethernet cables through those dental chairs really sucks.
Oh, what the hell?
Yeah, we have to do that because oftentimes they have like monitors that you can look at when you're sitting on the dental chair, and you have to run the cables all throughout that chair and like up like some cable management holes. It's awful. It's really, really bad. Anyway, I don't know if we're gonna have to do that. They may not have monitors in those chairs, in which case I won't have to do that, which would be great. Anyway, what games have you played this week? I saw that you beat a game.
I did. I finally finished that idle game that I've been playing, the 64. It turned out the last I don't know, last maybe 15 hours of the game, I was actually kind of completely missing a major gameplay element that entire time. So that was fun whenever I realized that and completely changed how I was playing the game. And then I tried getting this like kind of hardcore achievement, and I just couldn't take it anymore. So I didn't. I just finished the game because I was like, there's a challenge where you can finish the game while essentially not technically having enough resources to finish the game. Because you can like overgenerate resources to go above your maximum capacity, and you use that to complete the game with fewer things than you should. But I got sick of trying to optimize everything because as much as I like games like Factorio and Satisfactory, I'm not very good at them.
Yeah, I'm
And
terrible.
that's kind of what 64 is it's that combined with an idle game. And yeah, it's a fun time if you're into that, but
Yeah,
I'm not good at it. So
that makes sense.
uh yeah, that pretty much ate up every evening for me. I don't know why I let that happen. I don't know
I don't
why
know.
I let it just kind of take over my life for a couple weeks, but I did.
That's all right. Everyone else is just playing Helldivers apparently.
Yeah, yeah, everybody playing Helldivers, and I'm like, I, I could play like a fun game like Helldivers. I could play that with other people, and then I'm like, but I gotta finish 64. I gotta finish the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know I can.
And then they told you to go play Cookie Clicker.
Yeah, yeah. You finish the game, and then it's like, okay, you can go play Cookie Clicker or something now.
That's
Um,
fun. I like that. They should
yeah,
update that.
there's a Cookie Clicker. There's a Cookie Clicker reference in the game too.
They should update that
It's
ending
hiding.
screen every once in a while, like when a new game comes out. Be like, you can play Helldivers or something. Just like that will be the patch note. Just like change the game that we recommend you play. Anyway,
It's it is a really good idle game though. You
that's
should
good.
people should check it out.
That's good. I played 3 different games. I played WWE 2K24. I did not play either the showcase mode or the My Rise mode. Showcase mode is like they will go and be like, "Oh yeah, you're Cody Rhodes and you're playing through Cody Rhodes's storylines within WWE." So like at this point in his career, he fought this person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then My Rise is you create your own character and then go through like a storyline. And I didn't play either of those. I
Is
played.
the
Hmm?
is the one where you actually play as like a real storyline? Is that like voiced or anything, or is it
Yeah,
just a bunch of themed? Oh, okay, that's cool.
yeah. It's a bunch of themed
I was
matches.
kind of
They have
yeah.
that like they use character models from that time, that era that they were at. They also have like in between they have like FMV sequences where they're like sitting there discussing the game. Or discussing like this is what happened, this is what I was thinking during this period in my life. Stuff like that. And they usually have 1 or 2 showcases per like WWE 2K game. And they're pretty cool. There are like the thing I don't like about them is they'll be like, okay, so the next thing they did in this match was you have to do this, and you pull off that spot, and then it goes into like a little like cutscene, in-game cutscene, where it like does what happened in the match, and then it moves on to the next one, and it's like, and then your next objective is to do this. And I'm not a huge fan. I just want to play wrestling games, man. Um, and it does that in the My Rise too. Like they have certain win conditions so that it will progress the storyline. So it's not that bad, but it is pretty cool. The both modes are pretty cool, and they show highlights from the matches. Um, so like it after you're done with the match, it'll actually show pieces of that match. However, in the last game, I'm not sure about this game. I think they might have loosened it a little bit since WWE is now owned by Endeavor. Um, in the last game, they didn't want to pay royalties to the referees, so all the referees' faces were blurred out. And I
Oh
was
yeah, I remember you talking about that.
Yeah, and Mike Chioda actually, he was a former referee for WWE, and he spoke about that on a podcast and was like, "Yeah, so I think they accidentally put my face in a game." And I came up and was like, "Hey, I think I need royalties for this," and they started blurring everyone's faces. So they started taking them out and just either putting like generic like NPC referees in the game, or when they do the FMV sequences, blurring them out. But again, I don't know if they're doing that in this new one since it's owned by Endeavor. And the reason I say that is I did the tutorial mode, and there's a female referee in WWE, and I was like, hey, I know that person, and that looks like her character model, so they might have actually put them in there and just given them royalties now. Anywho, I also
Good
played
for
some.
them.
I also played Like a Dragon: Infinite Wealth. Great game. Uh, I have a lot of stuff to do in the game, and I don't generally like do everything in the game. But there's a lot of icons where it's like, oh, you have to go unlock memories from your past, which is pretty cool because you go up to the memories of Kiryu's past, and he talks about things that happened in previous games that I have never played, but Earl would love them, because he's played them. And then there's also like you have to increase your bond with your companions, and so you have to run to like little areas and like have little conversations with them and unlock a bingo card to get your bond higher so that you can unlock special skills with them. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do in the game. And apparently everyone likes the Animal Crossing thing, but I'm not a huge fan. But that's okay. And then on Friday we played some Helldivers 2, and it was all right. We had some fun. We spread democracy and killed some robots. We did not kill bugs. We killed robots. So if you go to play the game, the right side is the bugs and the left side is the robots. And I guess they were going to beat the robot. The one of the people who joined in with Connor was saying that the robots, he prefers facing the robots, but whoever the game master is has been just doing the major orders to go fight bugs instead of fighting the robots for some
Yeah.
reason. And so like the last 5 major orders have been fight the bugs, not the robots. Anywho, so those are the games I played, and they're all pretty good. They're all pretty good. Hopefully, I'll beat Like a Dragon here within a week or two, and then I'm gonna start Dragon's Dogma 2, which everyone apparently is railing on because of microtransactions, but I just won't buy the microtransactions, I guess. I mean, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth has you pay to get New Game Plus, which is
Yeah,
really
that's
bad.
pretty shitty.
It is. It's awful. Come on, Sega, be better. And we're going to move on. We're going to talk about some news stories, and we have a lot of them. Do you use the Steam family sharing at all?
I have previously.
Yeah,
I might do it more now.
I've used it as well. Not because of me, because I own all the games I want to play. But I have a friend who's like, "Oh man, I don't have money to buy this game." Oh, look, Reeton has the money to buy that game, and so I'm going to play his copy. Because that's always what happens. But what happened here is they've updated it. They've made it way better. They have made it so that you can play games at the same time, which is awesome. That's the biggest deal for me, is with the new family sharing beta, that if I am playing a game, like let's say I'm playing Dragon's Dogma 2 and somebody else wants to play another game that I own, they can play that at the same time as long as it's not the same game. So they can't play Dragon's Dogma 2 at the same time I'm playing Dragon's Dogma 2, but they can play something else. Not WWE 2K24, because that's in the excluded list, but you know what I mean. What have you used it for?
Uh, Pretty much just like stuff where I already own it because I used to buy like every Humble Bundle that would come out or whatever.
Yeah.
So I have like a fucking massive Steam library of shit that I'm never ever going to play.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's stuff that like my wife wanted, and
Mm-hmm.
I can just be like, well, I already own it, so you just play it whenever I'm not playing anything else.
Well, now
Uh,
she can play it while you're playing other stuff, as long as you upgrade to the beta version of Steam.
yeah, which, yeah, like in my opinion, that this actually makes it usable again.
Well, and there's
Because like
other.
if you're
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on.
Well, like if you're somebody that like actually plays the games on your account, like vast majority of the time, like you're really not going to be able to take advantage, or well, you wouldn't have been able to take advantage of this program.
Yeah,
Like
like me, like
it's
I
kind of
play
pointless.
games. Yeah, I play games, 3 hours a night. And so while my friend's wanting to play games, I wouldn't be able to, or I would kick him off mainly. But also, you can link up to 6 accounts, and say you and I both own Dragon's Dogma 2, and let's say your wife and our friend Durga want to play the game. You can actually play the same game as long as two family members own the game. So like,
Oh, that's nifty.
yeah, so it's let me see where it says here. Uh it says before only one member could access the shared library at a time, so the original owner could boot a guest out of a session whenever they started. This is from TechSpot. The update allows multiple family members to play different titles simultaneously. However, they can't play the same game concurrently unless there are multiple purchases of that title within the family. So, as long as multiple people own the game, the family can just play whatever they want, which I think is really cool. So, like, if I own the
Yeah,
game and you own the game, then two other people could play the game when we're not playing it. Um,
yeah, that's really neat.
yeah. So I would recommend anybody who's interested in this just go to the Steam Family Beta and activate it. It's go to Steam, I think settings, and then interface. Yeah. Steam settings interface, and then in client beta participation, choose Steam Families Beta, and you'll
Uh,
get updated.
they did specify, not in this article, but that in the actual announcement from Valve, that basically if you're going to use this, they want it to be with like actual close family members.
Uh huh.
Uh, that is to say, they don't want you sharing it with your friends all over the country or whatever. Uh,
Uh huh.
and
I'm
they did
sure.
say in the article
Go away.
that if that they're going to be monitoring people using this, and if they have to, they will find ways of enforcing it, which essentially means
IP
they're going to
bans.
restrict it to, well, they're going to, yeah, restrict it to geographic location, where they're gonna have to monitor where your account's logging in from, and do it like how Netflix has been doing it with login sharing.
I bet that's a developer thing. But I would imagine it's not going to be super strict, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I wonder if
It's
that's
going to depend on whether or not it cuts into their revenue.
yeah, exactly. Um, so yeah, it does say here. It says head to account details, family management. From there, users can create a family and start inviting members. Members who leave can immediately rejoin a family, but must wait 1 year before joining or starting a new family. So, if let's say your wife is part of your family and she leaves the group, she can rejoin your group, but if she wanted to join a different family, like let's say her sister started one, she would have to wait a whole year before she could join her sister's family, which
And
is
I think
really
that
weird.
makes sense.
It's weird, but it makes sense. There's also some things like DLC isn't included. Free to play games obviously aren't going to be shared. Um, there are certain things. Subscriptions aren't included. Stuff like that.
DLC is included. DLC for free to play games isn't
Oh, I
included.
see. I see. Right. Sorry. It does say Uh, yeah, titles requiring third-party keys, accounts, or subscriptions are excluded as well. There's actually a
Which makes
list.
sense.
You can go on to the Steam Family Sharing and see a list of games that are excluded from this as well. Like WWE 2K24 isn't included with this. So I'm sorry, you won't be able to play that game under my account, Roa. I
Oh,
apologize.
how am I gonna play WrestleMan?
I don't
game.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe just buy it yourself.
Uh,
Uh, we're gonna
oh,
we're gonna move on to a free to play game called Overwatch 2. And this is it's a big announcement, but not going to be a huge one that we spend a lot of time on. They're making all the heroes free finally, which is
oh,
what they should have done.
yeah, I didn't know it wasn't already like that.
Um, they
Kind of
were
defeats the purpose of a competitive multiplayer game if there are certain characters that you can't play as without paying.
well. The thing is, they were free. They were all free, but
Yeah, in the original Overwatch.
well, no, they were free in the new one too. But you had to unlock them via the battle pass, via the free battle pass. But if you paid for the battle
Right.
pass,
So they weren't free.
yeah, if you paid for the battle pass, it would it would mess up. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna do something real quick. Are we good?
Are we?
Yeah, you were doing that thing where you talked and it like did the spike in audio, so I lowered the bit rate to see if maybe that helped.
A
Uh,
spike in audio.
yeah, it did that last week as well, where it would just like have a weird click when you started talking every once in a while.
Oh,
Yeah,
weird.
we spoke about it. But yeah, so they are. What you would have to do is you have to pay for the battle pass, and you would get the hero unlocked pretty much immediately. Um, or you had to play X amount of time to unlock that character. And now it looks like Overwatch 2, this is from Destructoid. Overwatch 2 heroes are becoming free. Um, it says more changes are coming to the mythic skins. Blizzard is introducing the Mythic Shop, a place where you can progress towards mythic skins. You apparently don't need to work towards unlocking everything for a skin either. Colors and model variations are among the aspects of the skin you can earn, but if you don't want a specific color or model type, you can put that progression towards mythic skins. Starting in Season 10, every mythic skin from past seasons will be available in the shop. So they're adding in mythic skins, I guess. You know, I kind of preferred the loot box system. Um, Mainly because I could unlock loot boxes, and I don't know, it didn't feel as scummy. Overwatch coins, the premium currency that longtime fans begrudgingly embraced, can now be earned in new ways with Season 10. Coins will be earned in the free and paid Battle Pass tracks, with up to 600 for the taking rather than the typical 540. I don't know what that means, but sure. Um, oh, I guess with the Battle Pass, yeah, with the Battle Pass you can get 60 more coins rather than 540. Um, and of course they have more plans right now, but I think they're making these changes because Overwatch 2 is not as popular as Overwatch 1 was. And I think they're
No.
hemorrhaging players because it's not as good. But they are
Yeah.
releasing a new map as well. But I am happy that they have decided to they've decided to make all the heroes just free, which is what they should have done. And also the character model that they use from this Destructoid article is just The Rock with machine
Uh,
guns
yeah.
with
It
and hair, but
reminds me of that. It reminds me of that character from what's that Disney movie Moana?
uh
Reminds me of that.
yeah. Was it Maui?
Fuck, I don't know, man.
I don't know either,
I
man.
I only know of anything from that movie because there were like memes made of that scene with The Rock singing.
Yeah, that's the only thing I know about that movie. I actually like that song. But that's it. That's the only thing I know about it. Maybe I'll watch it someday. It actually doesn't look like that bad of a movie. But we're gonna go to our next story where we got some sad news that I'm sure you totally cared about. Uh, VStream is dead.
Oh
DED
no.
dead. Because I and if you don't know what it was, which I actually had to explain to Aroa what it was, which shocked me. V-Stream is basically Twitch, but it was geared towards V streamers. And if you don't know what a V streamer is,
VTubers.
VTubers, I'm sorry, I
VTubers.
don't care. Um, I have friends who do it, and I can't wrap my head around it. Like, it's good for them. That's what they want to
What?
do. They don't want to put their face on camera. But I just can't wrap my head around creating a virtual avatar to have there on the screen to play games. That makes sense?
Uh, I I don't know what's so hard to understand about it, but oh, all right.
I just use my own face. I
Yeah,
don't
why
need a
why would you want to
YouTube.
do that?
Yeah. Because I like my face. I have a good face. Okay? Thank you. Uh but VTubers, the V stream was geared towards VTubers. So that's already creating a niche. Um because there's not going to be as many VTubers as other types of streamers. And then yeah, apparently they weren't making enough money, and it was going to cost them tens of thousands of dollars a month for the servers to stay online, and so VStream is dying. So I imagine that there's going to be a pretty big influx onto Twitch and YouTube of not new VTubers, but more VTubers just moving from VStream to YouTube and Twitch. I had a
Yeah.
couple of friends who, after Mixer died, they went to VStream.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, as somebody who's like a casual enjoyer of VTubers, I don't really get like super hard into the scene. I'm not watching I'm not really watching the one blue-haired guy that talks he's basically like the Keemstar of the VTuber world, except he's not a fucking piece of shit. Um I sometimes we'll watch a couple of videos from him, like little bits and pieces to catch up on particularly interesting gossip, but otherwise I just watch clips.
yeah.
Um,
And I have
that
a
said,
friend. I have a friend who does VTubing, because they just have social anxiety, and so like they used to do like their a camera on their face, and they're just like I feel a lot more comfortable with a VTuber rather than having my face on camera. So I understand from that point of view, but I don't think I could
well,
do it myself.
it's also like really really good for women in particular, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
because you get one just a layer of anonymity,
mm-hmm,
but also like you can you can kind of still be you without having dudes come in and just immediately judge you for your appearance, regardless of anything else.
yeah,
Like you're just immediately going to be objectified, and if you can just put an anime girl in front of you, then I like that was the most obvious thing to me initially.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's a lot of that social anxiety stuff. I think that it helps with. Kind of like the YouTubers that like there are a lot of YouTubers that have like TV heads. I don't know why.
Oh
Weird
yeah,
thing.
yeah. I saw a video the other day, and somebody's like, "Oh yeah, I want to get one of those like box heads for my channel," and I was like, "The what now?" First off,
There's no
stop holding your lapel mic in your hand, and secondly, take off the box.
Yeah, yeah, really sick of the mic holding in the hand thing. But yeah, it like I, I'm into the concept of VTubers. Uh, I've been trying to do it for a while, but my perfectionism won't let me just fucking start streaming with it.
Well,
Uh,
I know you have a 3D model for VR chat, right? That you worked on.
yeah, that was one that I made with Vroid that I then converted into a model for VR chat and also have it rigged up for this VTubing application.
I see.
but like there's a lot that goes into not just getting the model going, but like other like allowing the stream to be interactive with the model that I want to have, and also like the facial expressions need to be just so. And there's I'm again, it's just the autism. Um, but anyway, with the story here, uh, the fact that I had not, I did realize, I did remember the stream existing just ever so fucking vaguely, but really hardly at all. And I think that's a sign of like why this website failed.
Yeah.
Uh, unfortunately, like I don't recognize any of these VTubers that they list as like, you know, special thanks to these people.
Yeah.
Um, like I've never seen Chise before. I looked her up just now. Uh, no idea. So, and none of these others, I don't recognize their names even slightly.
Well, and
It
if you look,
seems
if
like
I mean, not it is dying, so maybe it's people are just already moved off the platform. But the highest current stream is 10 viewers.
yeah, I do wonder like what their view counts were beforehand,
Mm-hmm.
uh, before the announcement, but I can't imagine that it was that big. And it's unfortunate because I really like the idea behind it. But like with just about everyone else who's tried to compete with Twitch and YouTube, a good idea alone does not make a platform.
Yeah.
Like it just that's why Mixer failed. That's why Glimish failed. That's why this
Hitbox,
failed.
Smashcast.
Hitbox, yeah, yep,
I
all
mean,
of them,
not that
really.
Hitbox and Smashcast really had a good idea, but they did fail. And what
Yeah.
was it? Ustream? Was that is that still around?
No.
Yeah, like they're it sucks because it like Twitch doesn't make any money. I don't think
Yeah.
YouTube makes any money from either of their businesses, whether it's, uploaded videos or from streaming. Like it costs a lot of money to run that much bandwidth and and store all of that data on their servers. So like it if you're starting in there as a newcomer, it's going to cost a lot of capital and you're probably not going to make that money back.
Nope.
So you have to pivot it. Like I thought Microsoft with Mixer had a chance to at least pivot it and say, hey, maybe we're losing money on Mixer, but it's bringing people to our platform, whether that's Xbox or, our Game Pass for PC, stuff like that. But it just didn't. It didn't translate. And a big
Nope.
problem with Mixer, at least I was playing Spider-Man when Spider-Man came out on the PlayStation 4, and somebody came into my stream and they're like, "You're playing Spider-Man. I thought that this was only Xbox games." And I was like, "Oh no, that's bad marketing."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's no, you can play whatever games you want on here. It's just oh no. Because like
Yeah,
a lot of
Microsoft really fucked that platform up.
they did. Anyway, goodbye
But
VStream. Hello VStreamers.
well, I did want to mention that I think what would have helped a lot would have been if they had actually partnered with a major VTubing group like
Yeah.
VShojo, or there's no way they would have gotten in with Hololive. They're just too big. Um, and Niji Sanji's dying, but uh, like if they could have gotten on with either like a big indie VTuber, um, I think Iron Mouse is technically indie. I can't remember. I don't think she's part of VShojo. Uh, but just anybody like big would have really made a huge difference. And it the really sad thing is that it looks like they were going to. They were like essentially the original plan was to on the on the day that they ended up deciding to just close up shop was supposed to be when they started the big promotion with V Shoujo.
Awesome.
Uh, and that might have at least staved off their closure for a little while.
Yeah, it
But they
says
said
in
that they were
yeah.
trying to fundraise for 3 months straight, and it just wasn't getting anywhere.
That's what I was
And
gonna
they
say.
decided that
They couldn't make any money, so
yeah, they decided that it would be better for both the streamers on VStream and for VShojo's brand to just not bother because the company was going to go under either way, no matter what happened.
yeah.
And that's very sad.
Hmm.
I like the idea of these niche platforms a lot, but it's just that you're going to have to pay somebody else to do all of this streaming. Like the bandwidth has to go through somebody. It's probably going to be Amazon or Microsoft.
Yeah.
And if neither of those companies can make this sort of platform profitable, then you're probably not going to either.
Yeah.
Sadly, I really think that the only viable way to do this sort of thing is to make it where you have to pay for it up front, like where you have to have a subscription to the service to even watch streamers. And I just not that's not feasible. Like
No.
that is literally impossible unless you pull major talent from one of the other platforms where they're inevitably going to have a contract with that other platform, almost definitely.
Yeah. It's not
So
it's so not profitable right now. Maybe when new codecs come and they can lower the bandwidth costs, but right now
I,
not not worth it.
I I'd like to see with how much a lot of people are investing in decentralization and kind of making peer-to-peer networking better. I hope maybe there's a way to make that happen where we can have like maybe not necessarily like have individual people sort of peering with each other to like have streaming work, but if we can have like a larger than a household network connection, like a small business or something, renting out their bandwidth to sort of act as a relay for streaming data, like that would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
and
I don't know what the answer is.
I think individuals might be able to do it. Like let's say like Ninja decided he wanted to leave Twitch and he wanted to leave YouTube and just wanted to host his own like website that was like
Yeah,
him streaming, and maybe like when he wasn't streaming like his friends were streaming or something, like they had a schedule where different streamers would go in. They might be able to make a
yeah,
profit off that because it would be so small and you would have the name of Ninja to people, like to get people to go to that website. But once you add in like Aroa and Reeton, who get 3 viewers tops at a time,
yeah,
um, and we're eating up a bunch of bandwidth and transcoding power and stuff, we're costing them money. Every time I
yeah.
stream,
That's
I am costing Amazon money, which
yep.
actually makes me feel pretty good.
That is that is ultimately yeah the reality of the situation is that by the nature of these platforms and being as open as they are to like let anybody can be a streamer, that actually ends up going around and killing the platform
Yeah.
from underneath. Like that's and the reason that I think that having like a direct revenue model where it is a subscription service where everything is just pay to play, like Nebula, like
Mm-hmm.
Nebula is unbelievably cheap for what all you get out of it. And ultimately, yeah, it's just a bunch of YouTube videos, but like it's from a curated group of content creators, but it's like $30 a year, I think, on and that's a regular subscription. They very regularly do discounts where it's like 15
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
like they manage to make a profit that way. So like I assume that if you could get everybody who used the platform to even throw like $1 a month at it, that you'd be able to make at least a product that breaks even. Like
Yeah.
you definitely have to take sponsors on top of it, but at least you'd have a platform that you could run the way that you wanted to, so that you could have it's all VTubers, or like it's not beholden to corporate interests in the way that Twitch is. But sadly, it's there's just no way to be Twitch but not be Amazon.
Yeah. Yeah. It's awful. But we are going to move on. We're going to talk about some other news stories. This one makes me happy. Um, the largest bank in Ethiopia was hit by an IT glitch that allowed customers to withdraw over $40 million. Um, and this is from TechSpot. It said, according to local media, CBE didn't initially notice the technical issue that allowed customers to withdraw more money than they had in their accounts. By the time the bank realized what was going on and froze transactions for a few hours, um, more than 2.4 billion Ethiopian birr, around $40 million, had been withdrawn or moved to other account or banks. I love that they were moved to other banks. Bank president Abe Sando told journalists that much of the money had been withdrawn by students. Fuck yeah. News that the CBE was giving away unlimited money spread across universities in the country via social media, messaging apps, and phone calls, writes the BBC. It led to long lines at campus ATMs that lasted until the police arrived to stop people. A student at Jimma University Institute of Technologies said that he did not believe his friends when they told him about at about 1 a.m. local time that it was possible to withdraw large amounts of money from ATMs or transfer it via the bank app. Another student at Dilla University said people on campus retrieved money from CBE between midnight and 2 a.m. And by the way, if I did this, you wouldn't fucking hear from me. If I withdrew like
Yeah,
$3 million, I'd be like, you'd be like, where's Reeton? He's going to a place where you can't get extradited. That's where he's going.
yeah, that's a couple of the comments have the same sentiment, and that would be my thinking. Like, if I live in fucking Ethiopia and suddenly I just found out that I can withdraw as much money as I want, I'm buying a fucking plane ticket and getting the fuck off of that continent, brother. Like,
Plane, a plane ticket, a boat ride. Like, I'm finding a way to get the out of that
yeah.
country. And it's same with the United States. I would find a way to get out of the country, and just be like, hey, I'm in a place where they can't extradite me for now. Which, by the way, apparently Ukraine doesn't extradite, but I don't think I would want to go there at the moment. Uh, but there
Yes,
are,
I was gonna say, I don't know. In the case of the United States, you're kind of like your options are very limited, and
yeah,
most of them are Eastern European countries.
yeah, yeah. Um, But yeah, so it said more than 38 million people hold accounts at CBE. The bank says its ATM services are now fully operational, though it may want to rethink its slogan, the bank you can always rely on. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how much, like, did somebody get $1 million or did somebody get, $500,000? I don't know, but that would
uh,
be like, that'd be a hell of an overdraw fee, I guess.
I want to know, like, how did somebody discover this? Like,
Yeah, like, it's,
maybe it was just like something in the app where it was just like your balance is 999,999 that, like,
well,
if it was that, or if
sometimes
somebody just like
people,
mistyped.
yeah, somebody could have mistyped or something like that. My mom would always like, she always tried to find ways to like play the system, right? And so she would be like, well, I'm already going to overdraw my account. And if I overdraw by $10 or I overdraw by $300, it's still going to be that $35 overdraft fee. And so she would just withdraw $300.
Oh.
And I'm just like, hey, mom, stop spending my fucking money. Stop overdrawing my account. Um, yeah, anyway, I could complain about that for a while. But this would be, I don't know. That's awesome. Good for them. And I mean, they might just be able to drive. They're in Ethiopia. They might just be able to like go to another country pretty quickly. Like it's not like the United States where like you drive for 40 hours and you're still in the United States.
Yeah, I mean it's Ethiopia. Like
Yeah, like in Germany, right? Like I was just in Germany. Like I'm on a train for 5 hours. I'm in a different country, and then I'm on a train for another couple of hours. I'm in a different country. Um, in the United States, it's not like that. Like you could drive for fucking 10 hours and still be in
well,
Texas.
it's it well, okay. Yeah. Some states are like that.
Some state like Texas, California, like California, it's like 25 hours just to drive from the bottom to the top.
Yeah, it also depends on which direction you're driving because it's like it could take you 10 hours to get through Illinois or it could take you 4. Like
That's true.
depends on whether you're driving east and west or north and south.
Yeah. So good for them. I hope nothing bad happens to the people who withdrew the money, and I hope them a long, prosperous life. Uh,
Get out.
apparently, unlike the long, prosperous life that was hoped for, a game called Undawn, which existed and nobody knew about it.
How do you spend enough money to get Will Smith to do fucking ads for your shitty mobile game and then you just like don't put him anywhere?
Yeah, like nobody knew about this. Not a single, like everybody in the comments are like, wait, what? Like there's a Will Smith game called, well, a game that had Will Smith's face in it called
Yeah.
Undawn. And you said it was a mobile game?
It
Oh,
is a
PC and mobile.
mobile game. It's a mobile game and they have a PC client.
Yeah. Um, and it was a zombie survival game, which you would think, like, why didn't they get the I Am Legend license or whatever? But whatever, because he was in a zombie movie basically. Um, but yeah, they had Undawn, and nobody knew about it, and it's dead. It died
Is it
immediately. It
is it
flopped hard.
is it
It
well
flopped.
it flopped. I don't think it shut down yet.
No.
Uh but uh Donkey video game Donkey did a video on it and that because that was the only way I was going to get any gameplay was to watch somebody else play it. And my God, it looks like a big old fucking pile of ass. It looks like any fucking given random open world zombie shooter that you would find on Steam or whatever. It like it just looks fucking terrible. And the fact that like these people managed to get hundreds of millions of dollars to spend on this piece of shit is just a fascinating sign of like where the games industry is.
They spent
That
$140 million on this game.
that was just was that not just oh no that was the budget. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
thought that was just on Will Smith.
No, no, no. That's including Will Smith. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but here's the thing. Okay, so
And
when I was at Sony, I was talking with my coworker, and he was like, "Yeah, I heard the budget for this game is like $80 million," and I was like, "Yeah, that sounds about right. That's half the price of this fucking game." And Days Gone
it,
infinitely better.
it it looks like it looks like a early to like maybe like 2009 Xbox 360 game.
Yeah,
Like it looks like hot ass and barely has any voice acting. The Will Smith character is not played by Will Smith. He's just a dude
yeah.
who
I
doesn't talk all that much anyway, but also is just some guy that's doing like a bad Will Smith impression.
I wonder if this was a money laundering scheme. Like that's the
There
only thing I can think of
so
is that somebody was pocketing some money.
it's also weird because in the Donkey video, there's just all of a sudden a musical number
What?
like Disney style musical.
That's amazing.
It's so fucking weird because like your character's on is they wake up. They're like, oh, okay, I better go relieve this other girl of watch duty, and you go out there, and then she just starts fucking doing a Disney princess. I wish that I could live in a better place song that's like 3 minutes long, and also like most of the women look like they look like models from like a Korean makeup ad or something, and then like the dudes are just all just like random dudes of varying ethnicities, but all the models are just like glowing pale white skinned Korean chicks.
It's
Uh,
amazing that they had zero marketing behind this. They had Will Smith. Like, remember Rockay City, the Payday
yeah,
clone?
yeah, yeah.
Like they
That
had
had
like
those like
Vanilla
washed up
Ice.
action stars.
Yeah, they had like Vanilla Ice and the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. Like they had a bunch of, B or C list celebrities in there. They had Machete in there. And
Oh, it's Tencent.
this game was made by Tencent. But what I was saying is Rocket City had marketing. Like people knew
Yeah,
that it was coming out. How do you have a game with Will Smith that you don't advertise? It doesn't make any sense. And yes, it's Tencent. They spent $140 million. We're going to talk about it in a minute, but Baldur's Gate 3 had $200 million, and it was way better. They actually used it.
you know that Monopoly mobile game that there are ads everywhere.
Yeah.
Did you see the article that they spent $500 million just on marketing for that game?
Jesus, are they making that money back?
Yes, they
Good.
made it back 3 times over
On
in one day
on Monopoly?
in a Monopoly mobile game.
Ah, man, we are in the wrong line of business. You know how much money I've made on this podcast? None. I made zero money on this
None.
podcast.
We have no monetization on this thing.
That's true. One day we'll. I got. Oh wait, for my other podcast, I got a free Manscaped razor that broke.
Here you go.
After,
Broke.
yeah, like 2 weeks after our promotion ended, it just stopped turning on. Yep.
You know, I have seen razors that look exactly like those on like AliExpress style fucking postings. I'm 99% sure that that company just drop ships garbage from Alibaba.
I think from what I understand, they actually do design their own razors. At least, but
Uh,
you're paying double of what you should pay for it, basically.
yeah.
Um, we're gonna move on to our next story because we don't really have much to say other than this game's stupid. We're gonna talk about
Dumb.
Owlcat. Owlcat Games. It's another tabletop RPG maker. For like they make RPGs for the PC. So they made a Pathfinder. They made a couple Pathfinder games. Um, and they're
Didn't make the one that
basically,
you played, did they?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, the
Oh,
Pathfinder. Yeah.
okay.
Um, and they are basically just saying we don't have the budget that Baldur's Gate has, which everyone knows. Everyone knows that Baldur's Gate 3 came out, and we had a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's an anomaly of a game." But yeah, not everyone has $200 million to make a game. Tencent apparently has $140 million to make a really shitty survival game, but not everyone has $200 million to make like a good game. But this is from Game World Observer. It says game budgets bigger isn't always better. A AAA game typically costs $50 to $70 million. Double A game is $5 to $15 million, and the normal A game is $1 to $2 million. And Owlcat said that they're basically changing the industry. It I can't say this guy Shipoleshki. Shipwelshevsky.
Spilchevsky.
Yes.
Spilchevsky.
Yeah. BG3 has a gigantic budget. Few studies have actually, few studios can actually afford this, let alone put so much money into an isometric game. I know this was already the second game for Larian that was a hit or miss situation. When you invest all your money in one shot and then wait to see if it hits or not, I mean, good for them, but they are brave people, and it's clear that they're not doing this in vain. But again, we can't invest, say, 200 million to make a Baldur's Gate 3. We don't have that kind of money yet. And I don't know any company in the world that would invest so much money into a CRPG. That makes
Well,
sense.
Larian had a couple of things going for them though. Um, One was that Original Sin 2 was a not massive success, but it was a pretty big success, and it was presumably, well, it was definitely profitable.
Yeah,
And they garnered a huge following, I think, from both Original Sin and Original Sin 2.
they did.
So they had a built-in fan base already on that.
Well, and they also, I
And
mean, I'm gonna go back. They also had like Divinity, like there's the Divinity
they
series,
there
which was,
there were all those other games,
yeah,
but I really don't think that most people think of those when they think of Larian.
probably not. Like
Like
I do,
there
but
there are there are a number of people who do, but like Original Sin was my introduction to Larian as a company,
mm-hmm.
and I think that was the case for a lot of other people. And you got to keep in mind that the original release of Original Sin had next to no voice acting.
Yeah,
Uh, I don't even I don't know if there was any voice acted dialogue. I think it was just all like character barks and shit like that. Because when I played through that with my friend, like I was doing all the voice acting in the game. It wasn't until they made a fuckload of money off of it that they were able to go back, make the definitive edition, and put in full voice acting. And then like Original Sin 2, uh, I didn't know that, but according to this guy, like I guess they just kind of threw everything at that, and were like, well, either it's gonna succeed or we're dead.
I
And then it
loved that.
succeeded.
I love that
It,
they
it's
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 just like fuck
fucking
it.
impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I
But
mean,
like then you go into Baldur's Gate 3, and like you not only have all of the goodwill from Original Sin 2, uh, but you also have a lot of people who are really attached to the name Baldur's Gate.
mm-hmm.
Um, you have people who are just like D&D CRPG, hell yeah! Like there's so much of a built-in audience with that I think that you can assume you're going to get a good number of sales off that. Then you layer on the early access model that they used for the game, because, like, yes, it's $200 million. It's a lot of fucking money, but it was also $200 million spent over the course of what, like 5 years, if not longer than that? And a lot of that was made back over the course of development as people bought an unfinished version of the game, which also created more free marketing for them.
Yeah,
Like they did a lot of things right with making the game work, as opposed to what Owlcat seems to be more prone to do, which is the typical model of you release a game, you buy some ads, you put it on the Steam front page, and you hope for the best.
yeah,
Uh, which honestly seemed to have worked somewhat well for Wrath of the Righteous. Like
yeah.
I saw a lot of people who were very impressed with that game. Unfortunately, as this as this dude said, Baldur's Gate 3 came out and kind of, yeah,
I
just kind of shat all over all that. But
So I liked. I played a little bit of Pathfinder Kingmaker, and I played all of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. And I think that the thing about those two games compared to Baldur's Gate, at least for me, is both of those games from Owlcat had some sort of like army management simulation or kingdom management simulation that I didn't give a shit about. Like I just want to play through the story. Like I want to play it through like Fallout and be my character and go through the game, right? Like in the original Fallout games. I want to play through and create my character in Baldur's Gate 3 and play as that character. I don't want to go through and then stop for 5 hours to manage my kingdom. And that was
You mean you
mandatory
didn't
in
like
those
the ending
games.
of you didn't like the ending of Fable 3? Is that what you're saying?
I never played Fable 3. I didn't like Fable 1 or 2
Oh.
really. So, uh
Fable 3, the Fable 3, the final act of that game is just you being the king of the world or
that sounds
whatever,
awful.
and you're just making decisions and pissing people off, and like that video game.
So the 3 games that they show on their website are Pathfinder Kingmaker, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, and Warhammer 40K Rogue Trader.
I've heard a
So
lot of good things about Rogue Trader.
I've heard a lot of good things about Rogue Trader, and I think it's on sale right now on the Steam sale. So unless the Steam sale ended, I don't know. It might have. But yes,
I don't know. I don't have time for another RPG.
I know. But they did say one last thing I wanted to point out in this Alcat interview. It says, we've made all of our games with partial voiceover because one, it's expensive, and two, it takes development time, development process extremely difficult, especially when you have 1 million words. He did go on to say, looking at Baldur's Gate 3, you understand it is becoming a must-have feature, which doesn't guarantee you success. But if you don't meet that bar, the game is considered one that no longer fits the right category. So it looks like we will have to do full voiceover in our next games. So I guess if they make a Pathfinder 3, they're going to do full voiceover, which is pretty exciting. I do
Yeah,
prefer I do prefer that, but or at least
well,
partial, but
most people do. Most people want there to be full voice acting. I think that's honestly mostly been considered like an expected thing since probably like Oblivion.
yeah.
Like, but at the same time, I would rather have partial voice acting where every character that does talk has their own voice actor than what
Like Fallout.
the Elder Scrolls game.
I
Yeah,
was going to say Fallout
well,
3. Yeah.
Oblivion, Fallout 3, Skyrim, even New Vegas. Like, we don't need 5 people doing the voices for every NPC.
Or
Like,
like when
I
when
would
when we make the Reeton Entertainment game and Aroa does the voices for every character.
right. Like the fucking like all the fucking RPG Maker games I've ever made, where I am everyone.
One of
Like,
my
I would
favorite
rather not have that.
one of my favorite stories is that I worked with a guy who he used to work at forget what it was called before it was owned by EA, but he worked on the Command and Conquer games, and he
Westwood?
yeah, and he's in a couple of the cutscenes. He gets blown up in one of the cutscenes because back then they didn't have to do like SAG or anything like that. So they'd be like, Eric, come over here. We need you to blow up in a cutscene.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so he's like, yep, that's me. That's awesome.
Yeah, the Kane from those games is just played by one of the devs.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
It's yeah.
and then it's so great that they brought him back for like a remake or something,
Yeah.
and or like a really late sequel. And like he's not an actor, he's still just a guy who developed the Command and Conquer games, but it's like, well, we have to get it back, he's fucking Kane.
Yeah.
It's so goofy.
That's awesome. But we're gonna go and talk about. Actually, we're gonna switch to talking about pretty much the same thing. Baldur's Gate 3. Larian Studios has said they're done. They're not
Yeah.
making any DLC. They're not making any expansions, and they're not making Baldur's Gate 4 at least right now. So it's just a good game. It's a well put together game, and that's it.
Kind of what the dude that they talked to said, and I'm projecting a bit, but the sentiment that I get from it is essentially like they don't wanna anymore. like they've been working on this game for a really long time, and it's it's pretty much finished, and like they just kind of don't want to deal with Hasbro anymore.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to deal with Wizards of the Coast's bullshit or whatever, and
I wonder
uh
I wonder if cuz a lot of times what'll happen in movies and video games is that something will come out and the studio will not take notice of it because they're like, who cares? Whatever. It's Baldur's Gate 3, whatever. And then it gets really big and the studio then wants to put their fingers into everything. And I wonder if that's
uh
what happened.
I think he does mention that, like, yeah, I don't know if this article brings it up, but I saw that he mentioned that basically that if there's going to be DLC made, it's going to be made by a different studio.
Oh,
Uh, and I don't know, it was something about the way that he said it that implied that like there is another studio who is working on DLC and it is not them. And
interesting.
we will have to see what happens with that. I believe there was something there was another game that had that happen and it worked out pretty well, and I almost want to say that it was Doom Eternal.
That could
I'm
be.
not totally sure, but it ended up like working out fine, but I don't know if I feel good about that happening
I
with Baldur's
yeah,
Gate 3.
I
I really, really don't feel good about the idea of a Baldur's Gate 4 being made by anybody else.
yeah.
Um, it will happen. It will absolutely happen because Hasbro and by extension Wizards of the Coast really, really love making money
Yeah.
and like wringing out their properties, but I just don't know who they would be able to bring on to make a CRPG that would be anywhere close to this good.
Owlcat's gonna
Uh,
come in.
that would be really ironic, wouldn't it?
That would be funny.
If they commissioned Owlcat, I could see them. I wonder if Obsidian would be allowed to work on it,
I don't
like
know
or
because
if
they're working on Avowed right now. They've got that in the pipeline.
well, yeah, it's going to be years before Baldur's Gate 4
That's
even
true.
gets started on,
But
but
again, but
it
they're
would
owned by
be
Microsoft, so who knows how
yeah,
that would work.
yeah. I wonder if Microsoft would allow that because like that's really the only studio that comes to mind that has made good CRPGs in the modern era
Yeah, I
that
mean
would
those are
have the budget and the pedigree to do something like that.
well, and here's the thing. I mean, I don't know who's working on the DLC. It may be Owlcat, or something like that. Like a just as because I think that they have the skills to at least make a DLC
Oh
for
yeah,
for
yeah.
it. But who knows? Who knows? It might just be a random studio that they pick up and are like, "Hey, make DLC
And
for
that
this game."
and to be clear, it's not even necessarily a skill thing because from what I've seen from Owlcat's games, like they're very competent developers. It's just
Hmm.
that they're an indie dev studio and they only have so many resources and so much time.
Yeah.
Like they aren't Larian who has people working all over the world all the time. Like
I do
like
wonder what their next game's gonna be. But
it's
they
gonna
even
be
they
it's
don't
probably
know.
gonna be oh wait, no, they
We don't know.
said it won't be Divinity Original Sin 3. I thought for sure it was gonna be Original Sin 3,
Yeah,
honestly.
it says right here. It says we'll carry on patching for a while. This is from IGN, and then we're going to take a holiday, and we'll figure out what we want to do next. At the moment, we genuinely have discussions. We want to do more, but we don't know what. So they don't know what they're going to be doing uh, for their next game, at least according to this. Which
They have a few paragraphs down where the guy clarified that while a Divinity Original Sin sequel is definitely on the horizon, their next project will not be Divinity Original Sin 3, saying it will be different than what you think it is, but still familiar. So
cool.
maybe it'll be like a spin-off or something. Or maybe they're going to make a third-person shooter.
Yeah, that's it. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna make a third
Yeah,
person shooter like Gears of War.
I you know, I said that as a joke, but what if they pulled like, what if they did like Mass Effect?
They could do something like yeah, they could do like a third person RPG, something like that.
Yeah, like what if they did like the alternate timeline where from Mass Effect 1 to 2, instead of dumbing down all the RPG mechanics, they like just went full fucking face first into it and adapted like the CRPG formula into an action-based third-person shooter type setup.
We'll
That
have
could
to.
be really fucking cool, especially from Larian.
Yeah, we'll
But
have to see. I mean, you
no,
look at like a BioWare and how they went from they were making basically CRPGs and then they moved on
yeah.
to making Mass Effect and other games that are not good now. And they made Dragon Age Origins and then just dropped off the face of the earth and I haven't ever heard anything about them since then. I don't know. It's weird. Um
Oh yeah.
that they made the
Wouldn't it be
Dragon
fucked
Age
up if
2
they
and 3.
made like a wouldn't it be like really fucked up if they made like a action shooter that was like vaguely an RPG but was mainly just a live service cash cow game?
Ah,
It
that
was like
sounds
antithetical to everything that they've ever done.
yeah. I don't think any studio would be that stupid. We have
No.
one last story to talk about. We're gonna move into, and I'm sorry if you just heard the cat sneezing in the background. Um,
I hear the jingle jangling.
yeah. Who brought this up? Was this you that brought this up? Apple's getting sued.
Probably. I don't know.
It was you.
But it's like it's fucking everywhere and I can't stop seeing articles about it and I'm excited about it.
Nice. What is going on here? Apple is being sued by the U.S. government.
Yes.
Nice. The
Uh
Department of Justice, it seems.
yeah. Yep, the Department of Justice has brought forth a case along with 16 state and district attorneys general accusing Apple of driving up prices for consumers and developers at the expense of making users more reliant on its phones. The parties allege that Apple selectively imposes contractual restrictions on developers and withholds critical ways of accessing the phone as a way to prevent competition from arising, according to the press release. Quote, Apple exercises its monopoly power to extract more money from consumers, developers, content creators, artists, publishers, small businesses, and merchants, among others, unquote, the Department of Justice wrote. So,
That's exactly what happened, right? Like, because we all know that they lock down their phones, but they also make it like
mhm,
impossible until recently, I guess, because of the EU. Um, like every browser runs on Safari.
yep.
Um,
And that's still the case in every country other than those within the European Union.
yeah,
Like it is that is selectively enforced only there, and they do as much as they fucking can to make sure that if you're not in the EU, you're not getting any more freedom than they have to give you.
interesting.
Uh,
Well,
so
and
some of the good.
I was gonna say one thing I don't like between Apple and Android is like, let's say I buy an app on my iPhone and then I want to go use that same app on my Android phone. I can't just sign in. I have to download and buy the
Yep,
app again. Um,
yep.
and that is a big hurdle because like I have a friend who told me, "Hey, I would not mind getting an Android phone, but I'm so locked in there to the Apple ecosystem, I don't think I could move."
You talking
And
about me?
no, it's a different friend. But yeah, but basically it's the same thing. And the only thing he said that I thought was silly was he's like, my wife, however, sees the iPhone as a status symbol, and so she
Oh
would
yeah,
never
yeah.
switch. She would never switch to Android because those are for lesser people. Like, oh, okay.
And it was really funny actually because I commented on another article about this subject. I think it was on 9 to 5 Mac, which My mistake for commenting on a fucking Mac fanboy website something against Apple, but I was like, I hope that Apple loses this because I would love to be able to use my device how I want, at least to a greater degree. Maybe not entirely, but at least to a greater degree than what I'm allowed now. Because I'm really sick of Apple treating me like I'm a fucking dipshit that doesn't know how to use his own phone. And somebody replied to me saying that I don't deserve Apple devices because I don't understand how good I have it with Apple's devices. Because
Oh, I
I
see.
like it if I think the wording was like, if you think that uh that Apple is controlling you using your device, then you don't deserve to use Apple phones or Apple devices. And I'm like, motherfucker, are you okay?
Like that's
Like,
that's weird. I mean, I know somebody that has said they will never buy a car other than a Tesla. And I'm like, like other cars are good too, right? Or actually good. But like they get so locked into that like I like this device or I like this car that they've done studies where you say something negative about Apple or Tesla, they don't take it as you critiquing that thing. They take it as you insulting them personally.
yeah, because you associate your identity so much with this brand or
Hmm.
this product that for some reason now it's become an extension of yourself. And I, it's like I, I I can see how you would fall into that. I think I've fallen into that on multiple occasions by thinking that, like, well, if you're saying that they are a bad company, then you're saying that people who buy their products are bad people. And then therefore you're saying I'm a bad person. Fuck you. But like
I
that's not
did
really what they mean.
Yeah, I did that. Not as much. Not like I can't believe you're doing that, but or like you're not good enough for an Apple phone because you criticized them. Um, but like when I was in high school, I think I've grown out of it. I've gotten older, but like I had an original Xbox, and so my I had a friend who had like a GameCube, and we would often like both of us would fanboy about the console that we owned. Where after a couple of years, I'm like, that's stupid. I just like video games. Like I
Yeah.
don't care what console they're on. I like video games as long as they're good.
Yeah, the golden era of console wars is probably the prime example of
Hmm.
that sort of behavior.
Yeah.
Um the government they have some bullet points that I think are useful.
Okay.
The government points to several different ways that Apple has allegedly illegally maintained its monopoly, disrupting super apps that encompass many different programs and could degrade iOS stickiness by making it easier for iPhone users to switch to competing devices. Uh, Blocking cloud streaming apps for things like video games that would lower the need for more expensive hardware, suppressing the quality of messaging between iPhone and competing platforms like Android, limiting the functionality of third party smartwatches with its iPhones, and making it harder for Apple Watch users to switch from the iPhone due to compatibility issues.
I would like to
Blocking.
interrupt for just a second to
Mhm.
talk about the suppressing the quality of messaging between iPhone and competing platforms like Android. I have
Mhm.
seen I haven't experienced this myself, but I have seen like people on dating apps on like Tinder who then get the phone number and they text somebody and the person's like, "Oh, you're using an Android," and will like block them.
Oh no, green bubbles.
Yeah,
Fuck you.
exactly. Sorry, you can go on to the last point.
Well, and then blocking third-party developers from creating competing digital wallets with tap to pay functionality for the iPhone. I think that's probably the best point that they have. Is just the way that Apple has very much locked down payment transactions
Oh, so you
on.
can't use like so there's Apple Pay, and
Mhm,
I use Google Pay, right? But there's also like
mhm.
Samsung Pay and other ones that you can use, and they don't allow you
Uh,
to do that on iPhones.
You can't even you can only do Apple Pay. You
Okay.
couldn't use Google Pay if you wanted to.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that sounds about right.
even though it's all the same fucking NFC hardware, like it doesn't matter. It's just that Apple's like, no, we're not going to give you an API for that.
Interesting. So the main problem I see with this is it's going to take years before we figure out what's going to happen.
It will probably be a very long process.
Yeah.
Will probably be, Florida will no longer be a state by the time this gets settled, I would
Oh
imagine,
God, I
you
hope
know.
California will have broken off and be an
Uh,
island and
it'll probably be like, 1/8 of the size that it currently is, with the tide coming in.
oh yeah, yeah, that's
Uh,
true.
you know, and yeah,
And then
it
Apple will
like
win because they'll buy the judges.
I don't think so. I don't think
It's
that's necessarily the case.
Yeah, it's possible. We'll
Uh,
see what happens. Most likely, it'll
yeah,
take a couple of years before we get any
it
movement on
will
this.
it will take a while. I don't think that it's going to necessarily result, because there are some people who think that this is going to like go entirely one direction or the other. That like either Apple's entire platform is going to get fucking blown out the water with this, and they're going to have to open up their whole thing, and it's going to be like Android, but it's going to be on iPhones. And I don't think that's going to happen. But I also don't think that it's going to be just that the Department of Justice gets totally shut out on this and nothing changes. It's going to be like every other time Apple's ever been sued by a major entity and they've actually done anything wrong, where Apple is just going to make some changes here and there.
Yeah,
And just hopefully it's for the better. I really hope that I can like sideload apps without having to own a Mac. You know,
yeah.
that'd be cool. Uh,
I
yeah,
found out.
I want this.
I guess with the Meta Quest 2, you can just enable developer mode and then put APKs on it.
Hmm.
So that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, it's great. It's you can even since it's Android, you can do ADB over wireless, so you don't even have to have it plugged in your computer to sideload shit onto it. Pretty
Oh,
great.
that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just we spoke about it, but I just bought a Meta Quest 2 because it was really cheap, and then I bought lenses for it for $75 because my eyesight is terrible and I don't want to wear my glasses when playing VR. But I can't do VR in my living room, so I'll have to go into my bedroom or out in the yard to do VR. That's what you do, right? You go outside and do VR?
Uh, I keep wanting to, particularly now with having the Quest 2. It's just I don't trust my Wi-Fi to work out there, and
Oh
there's
yeah.
really nothing like built into the headset that I like. I guess Beat Saber, but I haven't put any Beat Saber customs on there, and there's no way I'm playing the built-in songs. You fucking
Yeah.
kidding me?
Yeah, you got to put in the custom songs. But
There's
yeah,
only there's only like one good song on the entire soundtrack, and that's $100 bills.
is I have no idea. I do not know
It's
what these
it's
built-in
like the
songs are.
most generic. It's the most generic fucking dubstep fucking trash, but it's so dumb that it makes me laugh.
I
And that's
Yeah,
the only reason that I even remember it, because it's just like $100 bills, $100 bill. It's like just garbage, just absolute garbage.
I know that they have like packs you can buy. But
Yeah,
again,
you can buy a lot of, but like, why would you
yeah,
pay? Why would you pay
again,
like $8 for a song pack in Beat Saber?
yeah, again, I don't know any of those because I just modded it. Like when I was playing VR because I have a first generation Vive, I would just download the songs like every normal person, and then after an update, it would break, and I'd have to wait a week or two for them to fix it, and that's
I
and that's
would.
the rigmarole.
I've talked to Connor a lot about like the probably the most handy thing uh that I would use my Quest for on a daily basis is being able to like use my computer from my couch.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're done. We're done with stories. We had a lot of stories to talk
Yeah.
about and we got through them all. We
Yep.
will be back next week talking about more news stories and video games and all that jazz. I want to thank you for being here, Aroa.
Yeah, I was here.
And
I'm awake now.
good. And I was here too. Goodbye.
Okay, see you later.